Hey everyone, it is Kevin Henry, the Director of Marketing for Fortune Management. And when I think of marketing, I think of the gentleman who's joining me today, and that's Fred Joyal. Fred, how are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm always great, but it's always great to talk to you. It's always refreshing, and it's going to be an interesting conversation, undoubtedly.
Well, I will tell you, I love hearing your talk in Santa Fe about transformational marketing. And I wish that so many people could have been in that room to hear what you had to say. And obviously, I think I'd love to hit some of the high points so that people kind of walk away knowing some of the things that you're seeing either happening in dental practice now or coming down the road that they need to be prepared for. And there was one thing that I noticed every time that you mentioned it, the audience kind of perked up a little bit, and that was the concept of friction in the dental practice. And I wish we could show that example of the gentleman sliding down the escalator there and then doing the cartwheel. But what do you see as friction, and how does that play into the whole transformational marketing aspect that you were discussing in Santa Fe?
The point is, Kevin, that every business is trying to figure out how to reduce the friction between acceptance and sale, or introduction and sale of their product to the business. So what we want to do in dentistry is find all of those places where we add friction to the transaction, whether it's how easy we find or communicate with the practice or make an appointment with the practice. Think of all these places where we add friction before they even get in the office. How hard is it to get us on the phone? And then, of course, the processing of insurance adds friction. Explaining dental plans versus insurance, another friction point, because they're not getting it. And now it goes all the way through the treatment itself. Where are you adding friction in that sense? Where are you adding the amount of time and the amount of discomfort to the patient? So if you're using technology to reduce literally the friction, say with a laser, one, you're not numbing them a lot of times, and you're not drilling them.
Right.
Obviously can't be used for everything, but we're looking for these points. No business eliminates all the friction, but when you reduce it, you change the expectation of the person. Let's look at something like how easy is it to pay for how easy is it to apply for financing? Can this all be done ahead of time? Can it be done online? A Care Credit for years has allowed you to put a module right on your website to calculate what payments would be on, say, a $2,500 or $3,500 treatment. So those kind of things, it's like, don't just think in the most literal sense. It's like, where are you making it easier? In the web world, we look at it as like, how many clicks does it take to get what I want?
Yep.
Right. And I always love to use Starbucks as an example, right? You walk into a crowded Starbucks, you go, look at this line. I think I'll order on my mobile. Tap, my favorite drink, tap, pay, walk over and wait for your drink. This is Howard Schultz figured out 5 years ago. He wanted to reduce that friction. How much time does that save somebody, and how much easier is it? I'm just going into Starbucks, right? And they know my drink. They know what I eat. They know my breakfast. Some people are incredibly routine in what they do, and they just take advantage of it. And I heard this, which is this is just a fascinating side note, is that Starbucks is the largest bank in the world. Because they have you maintain a balance that you decrement.
Yep.
Right. Nobody thinks about it. It's like remember how American Express traveler's checks was a multi-billion-dollar entity because people just kept traveler's checks, right?
Sure. Yep. It's a great
Starbucks
point.
is just a side point. But again, they benefited enormously because people don't care. I'm leaving $50. I'm leaving $100 with Starbucks. So what? This is the power of reducing friction, is when you make it easier, people accept treatment more easily. They pay more quickly. How do you eliminate AR? Make it easier to pay. And how do you reduce collections? Do text to pay things. People do it. There's people say like, "Oh, nobody's going to pay their," except they do, right?
They do,
The
absolutely.
data is there, so it's like you can believe whatever you want, but the data is there. That the text to pay will reduce your AR considerably. As opposed to not at all, or opposed to going to collections and getting half of it if you're lucky. So it's all of these places that you can reduce, it's an exercise to do in the practice. How are you reducing the friction in the experience to make it easier, to speed to exit, I call it? How do you achieve speed to exit?
Well, and hey, who likes to stay in the dental practice, right? We know that that's not everybody's favorite place. So the speed to exit is so important. And while the team, or I should say, while the audience in our Platinum Circle and Santa Fe was primarily doctors, whenever I heard friction, I kept thinking about the team members as well, and their role of everybody in the practice ensuring that friction is lessened.
Sure, and of course, you talk a lot about what the role of a dental assistant in the practice, right? And that's where can they move that clinician through the practice more quickly by a minute, right? How you add the minutes up per procedure times the year, it's a staggering amount of increased production opportunity.
That's a great point. And I know one thing you mentioned in your talk, and you teased just a minute ago, was the whole electronic scheduling and the appointments online and how important that is. Would you talk a little bit about that with our audience?
Yeah. So one of what I label it as is, and this is what all businesses are trying to figure out how to do, because it's become so important based on consumer behavior. And when other businesses are doing it, means other dental practices are doing it, and DSOs are adapting it. They adapt anything where the numbers make sense. And so what the next thing that you really need to be focused on as a business is to have a 24-hour digital interface. 24 hours, they need to be able to find out what they want to find out quickly with very little friction about what they need, how they could pay, do you do the services, how close are they to you, is there live chat that they can get their questions answered with, is there a way to schedule an appointment? This, we have moved into a world where it is almost impossible to find a business that's not in dentistry where you can't make an appointment online for whenever the heck you want. Yep. And then get a confirmation on it. And, of course it can get moved around. The big challenge dentists have, which is a very reasonable fear, is that somebody can come in and just mess with their schedule. But these softwares are designed by dentists and people who understand PMS, they know how it's supposed to work, and they don't let that happen. They are, software is very sophisticated. You can have it only allow new appointments at certain times. You can keep people from moving appointments. You can keep people from scheduling 10 appointments in your practice. This is a dentist used to say this to me. It's like, but what if the guy down the street that hates me books my whole schedule out for the next month? It's like, no, he would have to go to a different computer every time and create another identity for himself to do it. Okay. So, and either way, the software is going to show it, right? And you're going to be confirming the appointment. But most of the time, the software just says, this is the same IP address. It's not going to allow another appointment to be made. It's going to come back and go, you mean this appointment? The one you already booked? So,
no, and that makes perfect sense. And one thing that I heard you say, and I thought it was so good in Santa Fe, is that you can tell so quickly when you're chatting with a bot, and it's so important to have that difference on your website. And would you just talk for a minute about that?
Yeah, live chat is so powerful at converting a searcher into an appointment, because it is there 24 hours a day. It knows you and your practice and your hours, and it has your schedule. And it's a real person whose only job is to get you to make an appointment. That's you know, and a lot of times you can't even train your front desk to think that way. It's like, oh, well, I'm here to answer questions and do this. Nope, your job is to get them in. Everything else is ancillary, secondary, maybe unnecessary, maybe counterproductive. Your job is to get them in. And when they go to live chat, which we've all gotten used to, I used to find it incredibly annoying 3 years ago when live chat popped up. It's like, where's the X to get rid of this? Now I just talk to the live chat because it's faster and more efficient, and I get what I need. And so, you know, the best customer service for almost any product is through live chat. Once you learn to do that, you're addicted to it. Like, I don't want to call anybody. I don't care if there's a phone number. I'm not calling it, right? Because now I'm going to go through the menu and I'm not doing it, right? So we have adapted. Again, what is the consumer doing online now? That's what you have to adapt to. They want to be able to do something 24 hours a day. So the live chat is there 24 hours a day, answering their questions. Do you do Invisalign? Yes, I do. Yes, we do. Would you like to? We also have $1,000 coupon that you could use for your Invisalign if you schedule your exam within the next 2 days. Would you like to schedule? This is a human being doing it. As you pointed out, I don't know about you, I can spot a bot in 3 lines. I'm talking to a robot, you know, and it's like, forget it. I'm going to find another way. I'm going to start searching through the menus and try to learn what I want, or I'm going to another website.
And that happens a lot. You know, I mean, I scheduled my oil change last night at 11 o'clock at night. You know, I mean, it's like, oh yeah, I need to do that. But you hop online, it's convenient. And you're right, to have something kind of guide you through the process. It's something we've all become accustomed to.
Yes. Yeah.
In our lives.
Because you know, it's efficient. We have found that some technology actually saves you time, because we need that time to watch TikTok videos, right? That we have to find that time somewhere. So it's got to be in efficiencies in other places. So
that's awesome. Well, hey, I know we always talk in threes. So what is the third point that you want to throw out? Because I've kind of led the first two. I want you to pick a third point.
Okay. So we've talked about friction. We've talked about a 24-hour digital interface. The other thing, which is a little bit more of an esoteric concept, but it's when it's applied, it's really effective. And it's called a pattern interruption. What that means is you're taking somebody's expectation based on what they've previously experienced, and you're upending it somehow by what you do, what you say, what you present them with. And this works because a lot of people have negative expectations about dentistry, or apprehensions or fears or misconceptions about their teeth and their oral health and that connection to their overall health and all of those things, and the value of dentistry and anything like that. So what we want to do is take that person's expectations and flip them just by changing their experience at some point. Now, a really good example is if you're doing a case presentation and you find yourself if you have a treatment coordinator room, let's say, where you're doing that, and you find yourself as the dentist sitting across from them, switch the setup of the room so that you are sitting next to that person, looking at the screen together, looking at their 3D scans, their cone beam scans, looking at their pans, and talking about the case so that they can see it. Now you're two people next to each other trying to decide what you should do.
I like that.
Tips the person it changes what that thing called white coat syndrome, which is, I'm the doctor now telling you what to do. Okay, this is what you should do, and this is what it's going to cost, rather than the person going, wow, that 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 doesn't look good. What's that bone density thing? Well, when you're missing a tooth, you lose bone density. And see, this scan allows us to see how much density you've lost. See, in the lower part of your chin, you've got good solid dentistry, but where you're missing those two teeth, the density is a third what it was 5 years ago.
Mhm.
Whoa, wait a minute. How do I fix that? Well, that's what implants do, is because when you don't have a tooth stimulating the bone, all of a sudden you're having a very interesting conversation. The other thing that you do is you interrupt the pattern by not getting to the money right away, maybe not even getting to the money at all. You may say, this, I'm just really going to tell you what it is you should do ideally, and then you tell me if the ideal is important to you. Because I'm going to tell you what I would recommend, but it's totally up to you. It's your teeth, it's your money, it's your time. That's the pattern interrupt right there that works so well in case presentation, rather than trying to figure out, well, how do I, oh, well, it's going to be $12,000, but we have a finance plan and I'm going to knock $2,000 off of it if you start today.
Yep.
Okay. It's, you might as well have a cane and a hat, right? While you do it. So they go like, well, I want the ideal, but is that going to be expensive? And then you say, well, let's talk about that word expensive. Again, you don't answer the expectation with the price. When you interrupt the pattern by not throwing out a deal or a financing, you go, let's talk about value. Let's talk about, let's say, and this isn't what the case is, but let's say it were $10,000. If that were going to affect every meal, every conversation, every kiss you had, every photograph you had for the next 25 years, amortize that over 25 years. Is that worth $10,000 to you? Is there a better way you could have spent that? You could invest that money. Tell me what that would be. Tell me how would you spend that money better? Because I'm a dentist, I'm biased, right? I believe 100% in fixing your teeth, right? And that is going to improve your life and your health and your confidence, all those things. I believe that. That's my experience. But what's a better investment for you? And now they're in the box, right? They got to go like, oh, well, I really want to go to Europe. That sounds great. Where in Europe? Paris. Really? What are you going to do in Paris? Eat. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
A lot. So we're back to me again and what I can do so you can chew. So that's a little dental poem. I think I just made.
That was well done, actually. I tell you,
a little improvised poem.
Well,
but that's this, and just another example is to put a kiosk instead of having reception. Have a really nice reception area, but when they walk in, there's nobody there. There's a kiosk right there because everything's already been done online. They go in, they punch in basically, and it says go to room 6, and practices that do this, they actually run ahead of schedule. There's an efficiency that occurs. Now it may say, have a seat and in 5 minutes go, or we're going to give you an alert. We're going to send you a text when you can go to room 6. But we have this illusion that they're looking for somebody to go, hey, welcome to our practice, and would you like some coffee and a donut and a foot massage and stuff? No, I want speed to exit. That's what I'm looking for. And so when they see the kiosk, now, of course, this is human behavior. Now we've been learned to use kiosks. If I'm going into a McDonald's, which by the way is never, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna get rid of those people, and it's gonna be a kiosk. Why? Because it's not that hard to go beep, 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 and have the machine go, do you want fries with that? Right?
Absolutely.
So again, another pattern interruption, and they go, oh wow, this is a modern dental practice, right? Even though they haven't experienced more dentistry, they've experienced a change in how the whole experience started.
And I think that word you just used right there, because whenever I'm thinking of transformational marketing, transform, change. And so
Yep.
we know a lot of folks are very resistant to that. But yet, if you're looking for what your customers actually want, change may have to occur in the way you do things.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want different results from your patients, you're going to have to interrupt your own patterns, because your patterns have created the behavior. Another example is if a patient is, and I talk about this in my books, probably both of them, that if you have a patient that keeps canceling on you at the last minute, you can't get in profit on that person. They have put a hole in your schedule that you can't charge them a big enough late fee for. If they knock you off 15, 20 minutes or an hour in your schedule, you're not going to get somebody in there, for a pro fee that morning if they've done that. So the pattern interrupt is basically to say, you're keeping us from seeing patients and taking care of people, which is our professional responsibility. When you don't show up, that becomes somebody else we can't take care of. So from now on, you're not going to be able to make an appointment with us. And if that's not okay with you, we're happy to send your records to another dentist who maybe has a more flexible schedule. Good luck with that. But you say, but we're not going to charge you a late fee, but we can't hold an appointment. You're welcome to come here and wait, and we'll squeeze you in whenever we can. One of two things is going to happen. They're going to start behaving properly because you knocked the cat off the table, as they say, right? Who's
Yep.
licking out of your milk glass, right? Or they're gone. Either way, you win.
Yeah.
You're losing with that patient. And trying to keep every patient in the practice, including the ones that are costing you money and keeping you from treating people. One, it's not fair to your good patients, and two, it's not fair to you. So interrupt their pattern, you win.
And that's what it's all about, is winning as a business and going home every day and going, it was a good day today because ... And Fred, I know you have so many resources for dentists and team members learning how, as you say, everything is marketing. Where can they find out more about you and how can they reach you?
Easiest way is fredjoyal.com, which is a place where you can order my books if you want. And there's a video course, a very detailed video course on all of the marketing stuff. It's pretty much up to date, except Google will change something this month and mess me up. But you can always and by the way, for those who are listening, the Fred Joyal, if you use my name, the books are $10 as a discount code. You can order as many as you want. And they're available on Amazon and Kindle. Amazon's Audible, and on Kindle. That's a great place to buy the digital versions. It's not a great place to buy the book. It comes really slowly for some reason off Amazon. So go to fredjoyal.com, get it cheaper and get it faster. And go to my website. If you want to contact me, fred@fredjoyal.com. And it's always good to put Fortune Management in the subject line to make sure I read the darn thing, because I have a bot that goes in and deletes stuff that doesn't say Fortune, So, but yeah, that's the great way to do it. And the other way is, become a Fortune client, be a Fortune client. They use me as a resource all the time.
Absolutely. And I am so lucky. I've worked with Fred for years, and now that I'm part of Fortune Management, I'm so glad we get to work in this way as well. So Fred, I enjoyed your talk in Santa Fe. Thanks for making some of the highlights available to our viewers today.
It's my pleasure.